This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 5th part of What If Naruto traveled back in time to save Uzumaki Clan. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The public execution of Hyuga Hibachi had not been a pleasant experience. Not at all. At least not for Konoha. If anything, it had become a rude awakening for the populace at large. A rude awakening for the various clans within Konoha, and how certain clans, particularly the Hyuga, were not as noble as they claimed to be in comparison to others. Of course, everyone knew about the Hyuga clan's cage bird seal. You'd have to be a moron not to be aware of it when working with the Hyuga from the branch family and seeing the seal on their foreheads. Contrary to popular belief, the Hyuga did remove their headbands on occasion, and the branch family could not conceal the seal they wore on their heads. Some had done so by wrapping a cloth around their heads beneath their hayate, but not always. It even helped distinguish who in the clan was branch from the main family, as the main family never wore anything over their foreheads. It didn't matter any longer. Hibachi's execution, in which he was vocally defiant of the daimyo until the end, drove home the point, and the fire daimyo explained why. It easily rendered the entire issue surrounding the execution and the cage bird seal moot. Naturally, the other Hyuga elders were opposed not only to their fellow elders' execution, but also to the order to remove the cage bird seal in its entirety from the clan records. Everything written on paper, every design, and pretty much everything from its conception to the implementation of the damn Fuinjutsu was to be destroyed. All of this occurred under the watchful eye of the daimyo samurai, Minato and Kushina, who knew the Hyuga elders and their supporters from within the main family were planning something. Not that it mattered. The fire daimyo had made it clear to everyone in Konoha that he was putting the village on notice and that they should not push their luck by breaking any more laws of his country, which they eventually lived in. He made it clear that, while Konoha was their home, the village was part of fire country and thus subject to the laws of the land it called home. The Hyuga clan underwent a significant change in terms of family unity, with the dojutsu protection seal being placed on all members of the clan. Not only that, but the Fuinjutsu was placed on the back of the necks, preventing any of the clan members from hiding their foreheads in shame. They could now walk among their clan members as equals, with the main family now having to partake or share in the same chores and duties in maintaining the clan as the branch family. As a result, the clan began to heal after years of strain, abuse, and pain inflicted by the main family on the branch family. Which was fortunate because Hizashi had only recently learned that some branch family members were plotting a coup at this very moment. In opposition to the main family, of course, it would have failed, but the consequences would have been irreversible. Even more so since Hizashi intended to inform his brother of this and prevent it from being carried out. Of course, it would have been swept under the rug, and not even the Sandaime Hokage would have known about it. Fortunately, such a disastrous crisis was avoided thanks to the efforts of the Uzumaki clan and their allies on this sensitive issue. And paved the way for another one to surround a Hitaki clan member. Meeting room, Hokage Tower. I see. Hitaki Tsukumo abandoned his mission to save his comrades, Hiruzen observed as he examined the information in front of him. Disgraceful. The mission comes first. He should be punished, publicly as well. He brings shame to his clan and village, Danzo added coldly. And how is it disgraceful? How many ninja did he save with his actions? How many of them will get to come home and have a chance to be with families? Loved ones? To be with their wives and husbands? Some of them are expecting parents? How will all these future children grow properly without their sires? Tsunade questioned, as she didn't agree with Konoha's willingness to throw a man like Tsukumo under the running away cart. While some may consider Tsukumo's actions to be honorable, they still weakened Konoha in the long run, and all the ninja he saved could have been easily replaced, as none of them were from any prominent clans, Danzo countered as Tsunade glared at him. Regardless of whether they are from clans or not, all ninja have value danzo. The more ninja-skilled ninja our village has, the better we will be in the long run. Regardless of the mission, the team went on being a failure. How many teams have failed and come back home alive? None of them were shamed like you were suggesting. Why this one? Or rather, why this one shinobi? His skills rival Namikaze Minato, the future Yondaime Hawk. The truth was that Danzo wanted to humiliate Sakumo to the point where he doubted himself. Make him doubt his abilities, skills, and life's purpose. Only Danzo was able to restart the Third Shinobi War by secretly recruiting him into the fold of his root forces. With the future Yondaime Hokage in his grasp, Danzo could launch a new kind of power play for the Hokage title. At the very least, he intended for Sakumo to be the heir to his root organization. At most, Danzo would be the puppeteer behind Hitaki, whether or not the man succeeded Minato as Hokage. As a result, being the true power in Konoha while no one is wiser. Namikaze Minato would be Hiruzen's successor, and Hitaki Sakumo would be Danzo's. Long after they died, the cycle of their rivalry would continue. Even so, Sakumo's actions, no matter how noble during this mission, must be dealt with harshly. He must be made an example of in terms of how all Konoha shinobi should conduct themselves when on missions. The mission must come first. Always. No exceptions, Danzo countered, while Hiruzen nodded slightly. Danzo is correct. While Sakumo did a noble thing, the mission must always come first, and he will be punished for it, Hiruzen added, knowing that his time as Hokage was coming to an end and that any decision he made prior to Minato taking over didn't bother him in the least. And what message does that send to the rest of the ninja in this village? Forget about your comrades? Let them die when they could live to fight another day? Asked Tsunade, with many of the other clan heads nodding in agreement. We shouldn't have to instill patriotism in anyone in the village. People born in Konoha should automatically serve it without question. There are no exceptions. It is not a choice. It is a duty you are sworn to the moment you are born into this world. If you refuse, it just means you are a traitor, and should be imprisoned for life, if not killed. Danzo shot back coldly, because he had believed in automatic servitude to Kono. One of the concepts my grandfather believed in was the village working as a whole. One comrade looking out for the other. How can they trust each other if Konoha decides to punish Hitaki Sakumo for doing just that? It sends a message to abandon your comrades and leave them to be killed or possibly worse. Something my grandfather would frown upon instantly, Tsunade countered as she saw Danzo frown even more at her words because that didn't mean he had to agree with it. Konoha has streets right now. Hitaki Sakumo was displeased. Not at all. In fact, he was more perplexed than anything else. During the mission, the man had saved his comrades, selecting them over it. Instead of everyone applauding his decision, they were shunning him. Why? Didn't the village believe in assisting one's comrades? In terms of friendship? Trust? You look troubled? Observed Uzumaki Nagato, who had traveled from Uzu to see his cousin Kushina and his teammates. Is it that obvious? Sakumo wondered, looking at the young redhead Uzumaki in front of him. Quite. I heard what happened on your mission and your decision to save your comrades over completing the mission. Contrary to what you may or may not believe, the decision you made was the right one, Nagato replied, Sakumo frowning. How do you know about the mission? It's only being discussed right now, and my team just returned, Sakumo inquired, Nagato smirking. A little paper bird told me. She's been watching the meeting with great interest, Nagato said as Konan listened in and relayed information to Yahiko, who told him everything she heard. I could report you to them and arrest you for treason and spying, Sakumo threatened, Nagato shaking his head. And say you do just that. Arrest me. Get me to confess the names of my associates and have them arrested as well for the same reason. What then? Do you honestly think it will erase the issue of your actions? It might to some extent, but we both know there will always be some lingering doubt within the minds of Konoha's more narrow-minded people. Say you speak the truth about Konoha. Everything. And I can't prove them wrong. What do you suggest I do? Kill myself to remove the unfair dishonor the village has placed on me and my clan? Sakumo asked, Nagato scoffing. Of course not. If you did, it would be traumatic for your son because he wouldn't be able to understand it. His name is Kakashi, right? Amazing potential at such a young age. He gets it from you. How do you think he will react to the sight of you dead on the ground with your sword buried deep within your stomach? How will he one day surpass you if you're dead? My son has a lot of potential. Who will train him if I die? Coach him? I understand Minato is his sensei, but what about after that? Or when the two aren't training together? My son could be the next Hokage. It appears to follow some strange pattern in which someone trained by a Hokage becomes as strong as one or becomes one. Before Senju Nawaki took over, Hashirama and Tobirama both trained Hiruzen, and he trained Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya, with the latter of the three training Minato. Even now, Hiruzen intends to make the man the next Hokage as soon as possible, so Kakashi has a good chance of succeeding. But with the way things are going in Konoha and my actions with the mission, regardless of whether they were the right thing to do at the time, it will always be a blemish for both of us, Sakumo lamented. There is another alternative you haven't fully considered, Nagato observed, as if reading the older man's mind. What alternative? Sakumo asked, smirking even more. You could, and this is all hypothetical, but you and your clan could join Uzu, and you could all become members of the Uzumaki Clan? Nagato suggested, Sakumo frowning. You mean my clan and I would trade one shinobi village for another? Surely you don't think my life here in Konoha will become so horrible? Sakumo asked, as Nagato shrugged. You were the one who suggested killing yourself to remove your so-called shame from this mission you sacrificed for your ungrateful comrades. In Uzu, you would have been praised for choosing them over the mission. Family comes first. The people within this village should really treat their people like family. Watching over and protecting each other like family when Hashirama and Tobirama were still alive with the title of Hokage under their belts. Sakumo admired Konoha. It's the people. Even if they demonstrated to the man that they did not love him as he once believed. Leaving Konoha for Uzu seemed almost wrong in his eyes. Almost. I need time to think about your offer. To think about what you're saying and if it rings true. Until then, this conversation between us didn't happen, Sakumo said as he walked away, and Nagato nodded. Don't be surprised if things worsen for you and your family. If they do, seek me out. I don't want to go looking for a man with a sudden suicidal tendency and find myself too late to stop him from doing something that will harm his family in the long run, Nagato said before leaving Sakumo alone with his thoughts. You know as well as I do that he'll come looking for us in the future, Yahiko remarked when Nagato was away from the rest of the village. Of course I do, but I also know the man's sense of honor would have led him to commit suicide if a second option like ours hadn't presented itself, Nagato replied, with Yahiko now smirking at him. I'm surprised Yamamoto letter Sama's was so accurate about what would happen long after he died. How do you think he knew it would happen as he said? Yahiko wondered. I don't know. He's in Uzumaki. Maybe the man saw the future through a seal or some form of spiritual insight before his return to the clan all those years ago, Nagato replied, while Yahiko frowned even more. Yeah, I hear you on that. After we found several Konoha's roots snooping around Uzu's defensive line 2 days ago, it's no surprise. Old Man Garp is pretty pissed at Konoha for sending them since they weren't supposed to be there. The fuinjutsu on their tongues were easy to remove and get them talking about why they were even there in the first place. An end that is coming soon. I can see it with my eyes. Kumo has been having problems with their daimyo and raikage at each other's throats. The war is becoming too expensive for them, and Lightning Country is showing signs of going into a recession soon. Iwa is the only real problem left, and even they are showing signs of fatigue on their end. The Tsuchikage is a stubborn old man, so a major event must transpire before he decides to. I don't care as long as Uzu survives. All I want is for Uzu to stand tall, for the three of us to stick together, and for us to leave a great legacy, Yahiko said as Conan appeared in a swirl of paper. They're going to make an example of Tsukumo, Conan said sadly, having heard the entire argument, which had upset her greatly. Konoha's loss, Uzu's gain, Yahiko observed as Nagato shook his head. That's only if he feels that moving his entire clan, if not just himself, to Uzu is a much better alternative to killing himself over the issue. After all, his son is the student of the future Yondaime Hokage, Nagato observed, with Yahiko and Conan both sighing. At least we gave him and his clan a way out of this. It's better to give him the actual offer than not give him one at all, even if he says no to it. That way we can't say we didn't try to save him from Konoha's future actions, said Yahiko, with the other two nodding before their sensei Uzumaki Shanks appeared with a frown on his face. Come on you three, Old Man Garp wants us back in Uzu, Shanks said, his three Team Akatsuki members frowning. Why? What's wrong? Yahiko inquired, concerned. Nothing, but Garp has a message left behind by Yamamoto-sama that he wants you three to be there when it is read, Shanks replied, with the trio nodding. Uzumaki Garp had a deep admiration for Yamamoto-sama, which had grown exponentially since his return to the clan years ago. First, for saving Uzu from what would have been a total sacking of the clan. Second, to ensure that Kushina was not forced to embrace anything she would be forced to do while living in Konoha following the transfer of the Kyuubi into her. Third, Uzumaki Mito was to be buried in Uzu, where she belonged. Fourth, and so on. Well, pretty much everything that helped Uzu grow after that was thanks to Yamamoto long after the man's death. In fact, the elderly Uzumaki had left Garp a number of scrolls over the years, left for him, or possibly Garp's successor as the next clan head, to open at various points in the future. So far, they had been almost perfectly accurate. Garp had no idea how that could be. No one who knew about the scrolls could fathom how accurate they could be. Nagato once speculated that Yamamoto had seen the future and didn't like what he saw. As a result, he was gone for so long before returning to Uzu to fix what was undoubtedly the horrible future the old man witnessed. In any case, the scrolls were opened according to his wishes. They had not been opened earlier, and there were time-based seals on them to prevent any curious Uzumaki, or other, fingers from prying them open. Alright, let's see what the future holds for us now, Yahiko said, with Nagato nodding and Conan following the two back to Uzu with their sensei. Unknown location at a later date. The elderly form of Uchiha Madara looked at his future student, knowing the boy was alive but unconscious due to the effects of being brought back from the dead. Things had not gone as planned for him since feigning death after a fight with Hashirama all those years ago. In reality, things were going his way while also not going his way. Konoha was deteriorating. It was on its deathbed. Slowly. Almost stupidly, despite everything that demonstrated it was still a force not to be underestimated. It survived 3 shinobi wars and maintained a strong front. But to his perceptive eyes, that was all it was. The front. A ruse. The village he and Hashirama had imagined was gradually dying. Not from enemies on the outside, but from enemies within. It's ironic that the people Hashirama would have loved if he were still alive were the cause of the village's demise. A new medical program is being rejected. Creating mindless, emotionless shinobi drones to serve a heartless commander with war-mongering ambitions. Aided in secret by a Hokage who used the position bestowed upon him by his predecessor to make things happen without the public knowing. They even attempted to eliminate the Uzumaki clan, which belonged to Hashirama's wife. Ha! The fools of the world. While few in number, the white creations he had made over the years had done an excellent job as spies and in informing him of world events. As a result, he was aware of the shift in power among the 5 shinobi villages, from Konoha being supreme to Uzu coming dangerously close to being recognized as a 6th village and tying with Konoha for the right to be called number 1 despite the vast majority of Uzu being a single clan. A clan that was expanding and thriving now that they were fully operational. They already had a few clan members who were not of Uzumaki blood. Not many, but enough from various small clans who didn't have a village to call their own were saved the Uzumaki clan to become a recognized shinobi village, whether out of pride to be independent, or some other sense of individuality. Hashirama, our Konoha dream is dying. You were so focused on making the tree strong that you overlooked the most important aspect of keeping the tree alive. Leaving responsible gardeners in place to prevent the tree from being poisoned from within. You were always so simple-minded at times, Madara thought as he moved with great effort from Obito's downed form to sit on his throne, of sorts, which was linked to his special life support system. Only to have a sword stab him through the back of his head and out the front, and a chakra sealing tag slapped across the front of Uchiha's neck. Yamamoto information Sama's was correct. Uchiha Madara was alive after all, and Anbu with Uzu on his hiatus said. Not any longer, he's not. What about this one? Inquired another Uzu Anbu as she examined Obito's unconscious form. According to Yamamoto instructions. We Samas kill him and destroy everything in this place, no questions asked, commanded the Anbu captain before a team of a dozen Uzu Anbu set the place on fire with explosive tags while one of them stabbed Obito through the breast before beheading him. Team 2 found the 2 white things outside and took care of them, one of the Uzu Anbu said, touching his earpiece. We're all set here. It's time to blow this place up. Exclaimed one Uzu Anbu Kunoichi, her voice tinged with excitement. Good. These are set with a 5-minute fuse. Move out. Exclaimed the Uzu Anbu captain as his team rushed out of the room, using the Fuinjutsu marker they had set up to get them out of this underground area. Months later elsewhere. Rin was on the move. She was terrified. So why not? She was being pursued by Kiri, who had implanted the 3-tailed Biju in her and had an unstable seal that would release the Biju later. She needed to not only escape the Kiri Nin, but also prevent her own village from being destroyed in the process. With Obito gone, Rin worked harder to avoid having to rely on her old teammate Kakashi or anyone else unless absolutely necessary. Hurry. Catch her before she flees. Exclaimed the Kiri Nin, who was hot on her tail. Rin. Exclaimed Kakashi as he saw Rin approaching him just as he was approaching Rin to save his teammate from Kiri. Kakashi. Run away. I have a Biju sealed inside of me. The seal is temporary. I need to get away from here and Konoha before it breaks. Exclaimed Rin, as Kakashi looked at her in horror at the thought of his teammate being used in such a way. Damn you. Rin will most likely be too late if she returns to Konoha. Before being subdued, the seal will break and the three tails will destroy Konoha or a large portion of it. The only thing I can think of is killing her. I don't want to kill her, but if I don't, the Biju will escape and cause havoc. Whether Konoha or not. Kakashi thought before revealing his Sharingan eye and making hand signs to create the Raikiri. Hurry! A group of Kiri Nin is approaching. Exclaimed Rin, knowing that time was of the essence right now. I apologize, Rin. I know you don't want to die here, let alone by my own hand, but if we don't act quickly. Damn it. I wish Minato-sensei could be here. Kakashi thought as he prepared to launch his jutsu at Rin and kill the girl who meant so much to him. Out of the way, moron! Yelled a figure behind Kakashi, who had to duck out of the way instinctively. What in the world? Kakashi thought as he was forced to cancel his Raikiri and saw an Uzu Nin of all shinobi run past him to Rin's location. You're Rin, right? Minato's student? Asked the Uzu Nin, as Rin nodded and looked at the figure. I am. Who are you? Rin inquired as the figure smiled. My name is Yahiko from Uzu, and I was sent here by the clan head and now Shoden Mizukage to assist you with your current situation. My teammates are taking care of the Kiri Nin as we speak, so your flank is well protected. Now quickly remove your shirt, said Yahiko, while Rin's face turned red at the end of the man's words. Pervert! Yelled Rin, slapping Yahiko across the face. All things considered, I might have deserved that slap, Yahiko said, his face stained with red. I'm not taking off my shirt, exclaimed Rin angrily, as a tick mark appeared on Yahiko's forehead. I have a seal here with me to keep the one on your body stable. I need to apply it or this whole place is going to become very different terrain-wise in a short amount of time the longer we talk about it, Yahiko countered as Rin glared at him, her cheeks red. Fine. But if you ogle or touch me in any way I don't like, I'm going to cut your balls off. Exclaimed Rin, taking a page from Kushina and Tsunade's playbook for dealing with perverts. Yeah. I get it. Now hurry and remove the shirt or else we're all dead. Exclaimed Yahiko to the perplexed Konoha Nin. All Kakashi could say was, huh? What? Honestly, your father seems to be much more capable of talking than you, Conan observed before disappearing in a swirl of paper, Nagato right beside her. To be fair, Yahiko does have that effect on people when he does something many consider to be brash, Nagato said, wondering if Uzu and the Uzumaki clan were rubbing off on Yahiko more than anyone else not of his clan's blood. He had the spirit of the clan. Rin removed her shirt, looking increasingly embarrassed at being exposed like this, while keeping a close eye on Yahiko for any inappropriate behavior on his part. It was bad enough that she had to do this in front of a complete stranger, but Kakashi of all people? Why didn't the seal snap and kill her right now? AAAAAAANNND. Done. Exclaimed Yahiko as he activated the seal, and Rin quickly reapplied her shirt. Prior to kicking Yahiko in the shins. That's what you get for being a pervert. Exclaimed Rin, as Yahiko whimpered at the low blow to his male pride. But I didn't do anything, Yahiko protested as his teammates and Kakashi sweated at their interaction. You were thinking it. Rin retorted angrily. Okay. I can't argue with that, mumbled Yahiko, but Rin heard him and became even more enraged. I knew you were thinking perverted thoughts. I'm going to beat you, stupid. Exclaimed Rin as she began to beat Yahiko, who was now pleading for mercy. Shouldn't we save him? Kakashi wondered as he saw Rin stomping on Yahiko with that angry look all women have when they're mad at a man. I'm not, but please do intervene on his behalf. Your father will be devastated that his son died before him, Nagato remarked casually, while Kakashi's body stiffened at the mention of his father. On second thought. I think I'll sit this one out, just this once, Kakashi said casually, while Konan mumbled something about cowardly men under his breath. Are you done hitting him yet? Konan asked, as Rin exhaled deeply after stopping her beating of Yahiko. Finished. Let's go home, Rin said as she walked away from Yahiko's smoldering body. I don't think I deserved that, Yahiko remarked as Nagato poked him with a stick. I can call her back if you want to tell her, Nagato offered, his bloodied body stiffening. On second thought. I think I might have deserved that, Yahiko replied before getting up and being helped by Nagato to make his way over to Konan, who was currently preventing Rin from lashing out at him. Let's go. I need to tell Minato-sensei what happened to me on my mission, Rin said, giving Yahiko one last look. A word of advice, Rin-san. The fact that you are a Jinchuriki should not be known to everyone in Konoha. It has been our experience that Jinchuriki are not welcome within their own village, Yahiko said as Rin glared again. Are you saying Minato-sensei will despise me? Rin asked accusingly, and to her surprise, Yahiko was serious but calm. No. Not at all. I know the man has a good heart, but certain people around him on the councils and the current Uchiha clan head are not what you call open-minded, said Yahiko, who had met the other Jinchuriki in their travels as spies to see how they were treated horribly. They were tolerated as a disease because they were a painful necessity whose value of being alive was only greater than the value of being dead. Even if only slightly. Just a little. Konoha had the same feelings for Kushina. The only difference was that the hatred was not openly expressed as it was in other villages when it came to Jinchuriki. The other villages thought Konoha was being too gentle with their Jinchuriki. But, in reality, all Konoha did was hide their disgust for Jinchuriki as a whole, which was far easier than the others did. It didn't matter that most people in Konoha had no idea who the Jinchuriki was, and those who did couldn't risk revealing it because others didn't care if a Jinchuriki was a Jinchuriki or not. There was also the possibility that the said Jinchuriki within Konoha would leave the village for Uzu, which those who saw Kushina as a weapon did not want to happen anytime soon. In any case, we should report your survival and keep the knowledge of what you are now known to a small handful of people in Konoha, Konan added as she saw Rin reluctantly nod, having seen the darker side of Konoha herself. Can Minato-sensei and Kushina-sama look at the seal you gave me? They are both well-known Fuinjutsu masters, and while I trust what you did worked, I know they would want to make sure the seal on me is stable to ease their own concerns, Rin responded, with the trio nodding. Of course. The Fuinjutsu I placed on your unstable one was of Uzumaki design, but we have no problem with either or both of them looking at it, Nagato replied, knowing that those two could be trusted because one was his kin and the other was aware of Kushina's status, so Rin being in the same boat wasn't an issue either. They were worried about the soon-to-be retired Sandaime Hokage and the various vipers he still kept around him. Konoha a little later. I see. This is good news on all counts, Hiruzen said, a small gentle smile on his aging face masking the smirk that wanted to come out. Agreed. Now we have another weapon within our ranks. With a proper altering of the seal, we can turn Rin-san into a devastating weapon, Danzo said, while Minato and Kushina, as well as the majority of the clan heads, frowned at him. There will be no tampering with the seal. I refuse to do that to Rin, Minato said, frowning because he had been in the room to hear this issue concerning his former student. Neither will I or anyone else in the Uzumaki clan. The seal placed over the unstable one Rin received from Kiri was designed to not be altered once placed. Doing so would simply make it unstable again, added Kushina, who had both inspected the seal after Kakashi told them what had happened. If the Sandaime Hokage orders you to do it, you will. Danzo said, as Kushina's long red hair became more alive as a result of her glare. No, I won't, and neither will Kushina. I inspected the seal with her, and we both agreed that tampering with it now, or even later, would not be beneficial in the least. There are countermeasures in the seal the Uzu-nin placed on the unstable one, no doubt to prevent any and all forms of tapering or altering of the seal for the very reasons you have stated, Danzo, Minato said, with Danzo frowning in further anger and mentally cursing. You're on the verge of treason, Minato-san, Homura remarked, his eyes narrowed. Your own loyalty to the village, as well as your new position as Yondaime Hokage, may be called into question once Hiruzen steps down, Kaharu warned. Why? Because I say no to a yet to be given order when you want a yes? Because I won't do that to my former student? Because I won't give you the weapon your heart's all desire? When has Konoha since its founding ever used a Jinchuriki as a weapon? When? The answer is never. Iwa, Kumo, Suna, and Kiri have all done it. But have they beaten us in all the shinobi wars up until now? No. Ungrateful brat. To think he is your successor, Hiruzen. Hitaki Tsukumo, despite his shame, would have obeyed us if it meant proving his worth to Konoha and removing some of his dishonor in the process, Danzo remarked, hoping to nudge Minato out of the nominations and get his future puppet in place to manipulate from the shadows. Says the one who spearheaded Tsukumo's shaming in the first place. Tell me, Danzo, how did your ploy to weaken the man, only to rebuild him from the ground up to become your puppet to one day be Hokage, work out for you? Questioned Hiruzen, who had been fully aware of what Danzo had planned for Tsukumo since the crippled advisor had first begun his little smear campaign. It appears that nothing I do has escaped your notice, my old friend. Even now, despite your decline in youth, your mind is still sharp, Danzo thought as he narrowed his gaze on Hiruzen. No response? In that case, I think I'll tell everyone here how that plan is going. It's failing miserably, I might add. Apparently, Tsukumo's strength had not wavered despite Danzo's attempt to make an example of him. If anything, I suspect the man has even gotten even stronger. His strength rivals Minato's at this point, but the two have a close bond, and are dear friends to one another, Hiruzen added. Shouldn't we try to break this bond? Spread rumors about the other in some way to cause friction between them to the point where they would be more rivals than friends in the future? Asked Kaharu, who didn't like the idea of the two being friends. Tsukumo and Minato shared similar values, and if Minato died young, Tsukumo would be a strong contender to succeed him. The future Yondaime Hokage was clearly dissatisfied with Konoha's current power structure and would no doubt work to change it. Remove her, Homura, Danzo, and even Hiruzen from the positions of power they had earned through years of loyal service. No. I tried before. I almost got caught when the two and Kushina began to trace the source of the rumors. Fortunately, the only one who could trace it to me died on a mission Hiruzen sent him on before Minato could approach the Konoha Nin, said Homura, knowing he would be dead right now if that hadn't been the case. What about the Uzumaki clan? Rumor has it that they are slowly gathering clans unaffiliated with other villages, Hiruzen inquired, with Danzo nodding. They have been doing that, and successfully, I might add. This war has targeted quite a few of them, and the Uzumaki clan has been more than willing to take them in to become part of Uzu. Many are now considering them the sixth major shinobi village. It won't be long before it becomes truly official, Danzo replied, frowning. Many of our more powerful ninjas, as well as the clans themselves, are showing signs of loyalty to Uzu over Konoha, and many do not approve of some of the policies we have been trying to get passed into law, Homura grumbled, because several laws they wanted passed would have made it more difficult for them to remove themselves from the seats of power that governed Konoha, while preventing outsiders such as the Uzumaki clan from taking them or having close friends or allies do it in their place. We could remove the clan heads on suspicion of treason and replace them with those we know are truly loyal to our version of Konoha, Kaharu offered, knowing that if given the chance, they could. With whom? With whom? Most of the clan heads now are young, replacing the old clan heads who were on our side from the beginning. All of the new ones support Minato and will do so once he becomes Hokage after the war, Hiruzen replied, as Danzo frowned. You could depose Minato as Yondaime Hokage and deny him the right to lead the village as your successor, Danzo suggested, as Hiruzen frowned. With whom? There is no one in our generation or this generation who has the potential to truly succeed me outside of Minato, Nawaki, Sakumo, Dan, Kushina, or even Tsunade herself, and there is no true legitimate reason I can state that would allow me to revoke Minato as my successor, Hiruzen replied, while Danzo frowned. It's not like we can just make something up. People know Minato too well to believe the man would do anything wrong in their eyes, Danzo reasoned, because any evidence planted to smear the man's name would almost certainly be disproven by Minato or those close to him. There was also the matter of Uzu. The damn Uzumaki clan could easily absorb Minato and those close to the man into their ranks. Sakumo, as well as the rest of the Hitaki clan. Tsunade and her relatives, she made it abundantly clear that if Konoha became a village she no longer recognized as the one her family helped to create, she would leave. Not only that, but Rin and Kushina would accompany them because they were Uzumaki clan members. That is, Konoha would lose 2 Jinchuriki, leaving it defenseless against the other villages. What about the clan head of the Uchiha clan? Uchiha Fugaku. From what I've heard, he believes those connected to the Senju in some way have been dominating Konoha's government. Even now, quite a few Uchiha clan members agree with him. You could name him Hokage after the war and pass it off as pacifying the Uchiha clan for their many years of loyalty to Konoha, Homura suggested, with Hiru. Tempting, but the man isn't the strongest ninja in the village. Right now, Minato is the strongest of his generation, Hiruzen countered, not to mention Fugaku is arrogant and will try to weaponize Kushina and now Rin with their Biju's chakra, even if it means using force and damning the consequences of tampering with the seals in place meant to hold the Biju in their Jinchuriki. However, the Uchiha's Sharingan should be able to repress and control the Biju should they escape from a Jinchuriki's body, which is impressive, Danzo replied. It also means that if the Biju does get free, they can be restrained long enough to be resealed inside proper Jinchuriki, and trained as weapons. The 3 tails shouldn't be an issue, but only an Uzumaki can truly hold Kyuubi. It's rumored to have something to do with the clan's already massive chakra reserves acting as a buffer to the immense life-threatening strain the Biju would put on anyone else, said Kaharu, as Hiruzen frowned further. I need time to think about this. Leave me alone, Hiruzen said, his advisors nodding and leaving him to his thoughts. None of them noticed a fly fly out the open window and report back to its master on what it had just heard. Sometime later, Namikaze states. You were right to suspect something, Minato-san, remarked Shibi, who was at a meeting with the other clan heads around him. And the meeting in itself could be considered treason if they were caught talking about what it is they were talking about in regards to the future. Specifically, their own future. The future of their own clan. A future devoid of Konoha. So, Hiruzen plans to do something? Sum asked, with Minato nodding. Sadly, yes. I have long suspected the old man I looked up to is not what we thought him to be in life. He and Danzo want to use Kushina and Rin as weapons, and my most recent refusal to alter Rin's seal to turn her into one is close to being the last straw to break their patience with me, Minato replied, the clan heads in the room looking worried. This is troublesome, Shikaku observed, while his friend Inoichi nodded. Their treachery runs deeper than even we knew up until now. Apparently, the slander against Hitaki Sakumo that caused him to fall to his knees in despair was Danzo's doing. The purpose was to rebuild him from the ground up as Danzo's future puppet to claim the title of Hokage while ruling from the shadows over Sakumo. If not that by chance, he wanted to turn him into Minato's rival just as Danzo was once Hiruzen. Bastards. Sakumo did the right thing, and that crippled bastard wanted to turn him into a puppet or enemy of my Minato-kun. I'll kill him, yelled Kushina angrily, her hair suddenly coming to life and waving around like 9 tails. Kushina, calm down. No one is killing anyone, Minato said calmly as the woman huffed. Not yet, anyway, Shikaku murmured to his friends. What do we do? I love Konoha despite what we know. It was changed from what the Shoden envisioned, but we can change it back once the war is over. Hiruzen wants Minato to be Hokage. Once Minato is Hokage, he can kick out the old advisors and replace them with fresh blood, Choza offered optimistically, while Shibi shook his head. That may not be a possibility. According to what my spy in the room overheard, Hiruzen is now considering appointing Uchiha Fugaku as the Yondaime Hokage, if only to keep Kushina and Rin under control. Apparently, the Sharingan eyes have considerable value to Danzo, Hiruzen, Homura, and Kaharu in relation to controlling the Biju should such a means be required in the future, countered Shibi. Bastards. I told you they'd stoop so low, Minato. It's bad enough they want me to be their prized weapon, but poor Rin-chan too? Never. Exclaimed Kushina, her rage rising once more. And people wonder why I say women are scary and troublesome, Shikaku thought as Kushina looked at him as if she had heard his words. Did you say anything, Shiki-kun? Kushina asked, her sweet smile and tone raising red flags in the Nara's mind. No. No. Why do you ask? Shikaku asked nervously as Kushina glared at him and made him sweat. No reason, just checking, Kushina replied with a smile, making Nara sweat. That woman is terrifying. I must avoid thoughts that make a woman angry at me, Shikaku reasoned, because he and every Nara before him had long suspected that women could pick up on such things from their male counterparts. It's like a weird version of Yamanaka clan jutsu. That strange moment aside, Hiyashi replied, we need to discuss the future of our clans and families if we continue to live here in Konoha. Hiyashi was personally pleased with the way things were going within his clan now, and the branch family was no longer treated as lowly servants. The remaining Hyuga elders were still a pain in the ass, but they were now considered a minor annoyance in comparison to what they were years ago. Are we really discussing this? Leaving Konoha? Asked Sum, who believed in loyalty and being loyal to the village. I don't like hearing this anymore, Sum-san. I believe in loyalty as well, but if that loyalty isn't returned, no matter how hard we give it first. Why should we even stay? Minato asked, Tsunade frowning. Should a dog be loyal to a cruel master? One who doesn't respect it. When the master beats it simply for living under the same roof. Just for existing? Should the dog take the abuse every day without question? Or should this dog leave to see which is worse? The outside world or the master who beats it? Questioned Minato with Sum. Konoha has been good to us, Sum countered, with Minato and some of the other clan heads nodding. For the time being, but suppose Hiruzen chooses Uchiha Fugaku as the next Hokage instead of Minato. Will Konoha be so good to you? Or to my clan? Or to the Hyuga? Or to the Nara? The Uchiha clan has always been angry at the Senju for years and anyone with close ties to them. I have also noticed how they have been slowly trying to get the general public on their side in regards to how our clans are inferior to. The Uchiha have always been a pain. The only reason Grandpa Hashirama wanted them in Konoha was because it was a shared dream between himself and Madara, and look how it turned out. Madara went psycho later on. exclaimed Tsunade angrily. We're getting off track. The question we need to ask is what we're going to do about this situation with Hiruzen and his advisors? Inoichi wondered, given that the future of all their families was at stake. We wait until the war is over. We wait until Hiruzen declares who his successor is once this war is over. It will be a test to see what our futures will hold. If he names me as the Yondaime Hokage, we stay in Konoha and fix it from within, like I know you want to do. But if Fugaku is named Hokage, we will leave. All of us. All of our clans, Minato replied, with the clan head. Not to ask a stupid question, but if the latter of the two happens, where do we go? Choza wondered, doubting that any of the other villages would accept them after losing so much in the most recent Shinobi War. Not unless they give something significant in return. Something they wouldn't or be very reluctant to give to compensate these villages. Uzu. We go to Uzu, answered Minato again with all seriousness. Will the Azukage accept us? All of us? Asked Shikaku while knowing Uzumaki Garp was reaching his elderly years, but had a sharp long-term memory. He will if I vouch for you and your clans. Old man Garp knows I can be trusted when vouching for others, said Kushina with the clan heads nodding. Very well. Each of us will make secret arrangements to prepare our clans should the worst happen. Do it discreetly and only with clan members you trust. Remember, some of us once had fellow clansmen en route, and they will no doubt report what we plan to do to him immediately. Whether or not Danzo will tell Hiruzen is debatable, but it is still a possibility. So be cautious in everything you do, Shikaku said, knowing that some of their own clansmen. What about the Sarutobi clan? We can't just leave them out of this. What about Bawako or her children? Kushina asked abruptly, knowing the woman and always being kind to her. We don't know where her loyalties lie, Kushina. Granted, I doubt she would approve of her husband's actions with us. Minato admitted, knowing the woman and her clan were a coin toss right now. But she could still side with him, Kushina concluded sadly. Sadly, yes. Our plan may or may not be required depending on the outcome of the war and who Hiruzen names as his successor. Until then, we can prepare for the worst and discreetly find out who among our clans can be trusted to come with us to Uzu to start anew there, Minato replied, knowing that there would no doubt be some people within all the clans who refused to leave Konoha. All they could do in the end was wait. Wait to see how far Konoha's current leadership would fall.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.